Hello, my name is Kay, and welcome back to another episode of House Flipper. Today we are going to flip a house. In fact, it's the Many Generations house that we will buy for $62,240.61. A great opportunity, a sturdy house from the 1930s on a large plot of land in a great location for major renovation. And a major renovation it will be. I don't want to spoil it. I can't wait to show you what I've done with this house. So there were some interior and exterior shots, and here we go. Here's just a little preview of the mess that is in store for us. It looks very similar to the last house, but you'll notice there are a few more trees in the yard. But by the end of this renovation, there will no longer be trees in the yard. So yes, everything you're seeing here looks very, very, very similar to our last renovation. The layout seems very similar. We have some different furniture, and fortunately this time no cockroaches. Again, I almost called them termites. And if you take a look in the upper right at our mini map, this house is frickin' filthy. There are spider webs, there is dust, and here we go. The walls are painted. I only tiled the bathroom floor. There's not much to see here right now, but have you noticed that the entire layout has changed? That's right. I tore down every single wall in the house and put up my own walls because I wanted a bigger bathroom. I wanted to change the layout because I've mentioned this before. Kind of a gripe that I have with House Flipper is that some of the houses are just far, far, far too similar. And then it's like, I just did this house. Why do I have to do this house again? I want some variety. And this is all base game stuff. When you get into the expansion packs, specifically DLC like luxury, there's a big difference. There are some very interesting places to flip. But this base game stuff kind of gives me the blues. It's kind of a bummer, man. But the good news is that you have the ability to tear down walls and build up new ones, and that is exactly what I did. I know that I went through very quickly, but at the end of the flip, you will be able to see a more slowed down version of all the different rooms and the layouts. You can see for this bathroom, I went with kind of a gold, pink, and white color story here. I really like that combination. The older I get, the more I'm starting to absolutely adore light pink, which I never thought was possible, but that whole millennial pink thing, I'm all about it. I love it. If I could repaint my office, I probably would paint it a light pink, which is kind of shocking to me, but I can't help it. I love pink now. So this kitchen took a very long time because, as usual, my mind changed and I was trying to use the space in an intelligent manner, and I did not nail it. It took a while, and I end up going back later and fixing it, and I am much happier with the changes that I made. So I took away the living room kitchenette, and instead I just have a kitchen, and there's like a little dining area here that you will see, and then I have a very teeny tiny living room. This wasn't like a big, I must have them separated this time. That wasn't part of the plan. It just kind of happened. And the color story for the kitchen is going to be like a white, gray, and blue. I originally had the walls in the kitchen light pink, and I stopped myself. It started to look really Pepto-Bismol and kind of disgusting. And the corridor was also that color, so I just painted over it. This is going to be the master bedroom. And I went with kind of dreamy aqua and whites and purples and blues. Just something that I know I would really like, and I think my mom would really like it. Maybe not the wallpaper, but that's okay. Again, at this point of the renovation, I am simply staging. I am putting things so that, like objects of furniture, so that I will remember, hey, this is what I want this room for. Here is our teeny tiny living room. It's actually not that small. It's 12 meters squared, but compared to some of the living rooms, that's kind of small. But when you consider our very first flips and renovations, those were teeny tiny, teeny tiny. And I decided to make a nursery, which I never really do. I have no interest in doing nurseries. There's not much to put in the nursery, really. But I thought, you know what, let's challenge ourselves. Let's do something a little different. And it is instantly a children's room based on the furniture that we have here. I have not added any toys yet, and it has already become a children's room. I went with blue, but I do add in some other colors. I add in some pinks. I add in a little variety of colors on a shelf that I'm going to put in here. I add little containers to it. You'll see that in just a moment here. And I may have mentioned it before, and I'm sure you noticed in my last video that you can add your own artwork to the game, just your own photographs. And I did that for this renovation. I added a picture to the nursery that kind of ties in all the pretty pastel pinks and blues, and I'm happy with how it turned out. So yeah, trying to get those little containers in there was a mess. It was not easy, but I figured it out. Never used this stool before, and I wasn't sure where to put it, so I put it by the crib, because apparently when I was a teeny tiny tot, I had the tendency to escape my crib, to the point where my mom had to put a little chair outside of it. Here we go. There's my picture. It's a photograph I took. I love the colors, I love sunsets, I love sunrises, and I really like how that picture looks. I wish that you could add a colored frame to it, but that is not an option. But you know what? I'm happy with how it looks. I put in this wild horses painting that I've never used before. I kind of forgot that it exists. I don't use a lot of paintings in the game except for the paintings that are based off of actual paintings like Gustav Klimt and Vincent van Gogh. Those are the ones that I tend to gravitate toward, but they're so pricey. And I didn't want to spend all that money. As it is, I ended up spending quite a bit of money working on this. The renovation was almost $3,000 and the furniture was about $8,000. That is a lot of money. And we're not hurting for money, but when I saw the stats at the end, I was like, ooh, yikes. I spent more money than I thought I would, and I blame it on this bathroom. I didn't even use the top of the line furnishings for it or anything, but the tiling, it is a bigger bathroom, so you're going to need more tile to cover the area. There is a chandelier in the bathroom, which might seem really silly, but I really like this idea of a chandelier in a fancy bathtub. I don't know. It just makes me happy. It's probably really silly, but I enjoy it. Now we're getting into the full-on decorating mode. The wall art is up. It is time for the rugs. Got a couple plants here and there. I did not go wild with plants this time. I'm trying to hold back. And I've used this light before, but it's one of my favorites. Look at that. It just makes the whole room like warm, soft, not too bright. And I guess I should have I did put little bedside tables. They're actually little dressers, and I put lamps on those so that it wouldn't be overpoweringly bright. And I love that bookcase. I haven't used that in a very long time. In fact, I forgot that it existed, but I'm happy to find it and use it once again. So I mentioned this before, but you can sit in some of the chairs like I did right here. So I'm sitting in that chair right now. And I think that's a really cool option. I wish that more chairs would allow you to do that. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Yes. Is this where? No, maybe. I'm trying to see if this is where I start moving the kitchen around, but I guess not. So I decided to use the placemats again. And I added some plates. And I added some bowls on top of the plates. If only I could find them. Yeah, the blue on blue was too much, so I switched to white. Put in some cute little canisters with little messages on them, just to make it a little more cozy. Yes, yes, yes. Here we go. Here is where things really start to come together for this kitchen. And I can sleep at night knowing that I'm really pleased with what I did here. Because I will finish a build and I'll be like, why did I do that? If I could just go back and fix it, I would. But look at that. Now it's a lot bigger. It's a lot more open. What is here? Ah, yes. The never-ending quest for curtains that fit. Now, I made a mistake here. and I'm not too proud to try to hide it. I should have used, for the brackets and the walls, I should have used gold, and instead I just wasn't even thinking and used silver. Whoops. So every good living room should have a TV, or in this case, a computer monitor. So there we have it. I'm also trying to remember to use remotes, even though we have remotes for our TV in the living room, but a lot of times I just walk up and I press the on button. I don't know why, it's just a force of habit. And it's time to use something new for me, and that is a cactus. I never use cacti. I don't know why, I just don't. So, you would think that I would be giving the final tour right now, but I am not. Instead, this time we are participating in the gardening contest. I know, I have kept putting it off, but here we are, episode 14 of this playthrough, and I'm finally entering the garden contest. Because I am confident that we may spend money, but it will be worth it. And that's what it looks like when you cut down a tree. It just falls into the ground. So there's a couple elements you need for the specific type of garden that I am making. I'm trying to make like a crop garden. So you need about 5 compost bins. You need about 5 scarecrows. You need some sprinklers. And elements of wood and or stone. Now, I didn't put down any wood or stone in addition to what's already out here, like the wood for the patio, the deck, I guess, the patio, and also the cement walkway. I added a little bunny hutch, I added a chicken coop, and I added a bird feeder, just because I wanted to. Where are we now? I just wanted to show off some of the things that you could put in the garden if you wanted. Now we're moving on to the plants. This is a very long process because many of these need to be put into the ground, not just placing them. You have to dig holes, you have to bury them, you have to water them. So I just show a couple here. This is the process. You can just dig and place and then go back at the end and move the dirt around and water them. So I just kind of showed that, there's different ways to do it. A really important thing for any garden contest that you're attempting to enter is to have a vast variety of plants. I try to use at least one of every plant for the category. In this case, edible plants are the ones we need for this category because it is a crop garden. So if you have met all of the requirements, like also a shed is one of the requirements, if you have everything to meet the criteria, you can add other things, like you could add decorative grasses that would normally be used for a modern garden, or you could add flowers, which would primarily be used for the English garden. It's okay. You can add them once you've done everything else that you would need. But I just was happy just doing what I needed to for the crop garden because we're not exactly made of money now, are we? Although, with as much money as I'm spending on sprinklers and scarecrows and many, many plants, you would think that money is not an issue. Fortunately, if you do not meet all of the criteria when you submit your garden for the contest, you do have an opportunity to pay a small fee, and you wait 10 minutes and you can re-enter. And they will give you an idea of where you're lacking, whether it's an incorrect amount of plants or equipment that is missing. Like if I didn't have the shed or the scarecrows, it would say that equipment is missing. It also appears, I don't know for sure, but I believe I saw it on Reddit, so don't quote me, but it helps to have your garden kind of spaced out as far as you don't want to have all of your plants on one side of the house. Try to have it even, have stuff in the front yard, the backyard, the sides, the corners, a variety. And it should kind of have a nice flow to it so that you're able to walk around it easily. Well, that's not like something that's part of the criteria, but if you're working on it and you box yourself in, it's kind of a hassle. I haven't done that yet, but I've come very close while working on the English cottage garden because I use way too many plants for that. So you can see I'm just spacing things out. There's still plenty of room to get around. And I try to group somewhat similar vegetation together. Like these are all berries. Those are all raspberries. There's a thick raspberry bush and a thin raspberry bush. And here are the blueberry bushes, and if you see that right there, I missed a little bit while I was mowing the lawn, so I went back and I fixed it. And now we're getting into lettuce, which are wonderful because you just plop them down. There's none of this diggy stuff. And then onto the strawberries. And at this point, I have used every type of edible plant possible. There are more trees, but you really need like one of each kind of fruit tree. And they come in small, medium, and large, so I always choose small because it is the least expensive. And here I am just kind of doing a little brief tour, zooming about the yard here. And I decided to put in a couple more sprinklers. Again, I think I have more than enough, but I just want to make sure. Also, these flower beds are really cool. I put one of these in just to show that you can line up your carrots a little bit nicer. I couldn't find those earlier when I was looking for them, so that's why they were just kind of like dumped off there. And I also added a shovel. I don't know if a shovel is necessary, but I like to add one. So here is the final tour of the house. I can't believe that it's so different from the house that we started with. You remember what the layout was like? It was just like the previous house, but I'm really happy with this. I did not furnish and decorate the interior nearly as much as I would have in the past, and as I have in the past, but I knew that I was going to have that garden to work on. So I didn't want to become so exhausted from working on the inside that I didn't want to be bothered doing the outside. And of course, I could have split it up and done it different times, but I really like to work on a house start to finish, unless it's a really large one, because as I've mentioned before, some of these renovations can take 6 to 10 hours or more. And that is a long time. But here we are, we're going to submit it for the garden contest, and we are going to select crop. Plants that have edible vegetables and fruits are key in this case. It's also nice if they're surrounded by natural materials like wood and stone. This type of garden requires some work and dedication, but it's ecological and gives its owners something. Sorry, I tried to read it real fast. But here we go. Plant selection, equipment, and layout, all great. The value of the house has increased by 50%. Professional garden, a lot of plants. It has everything that we need. So here we go. Bought the house for $62,240.61. You can see the renovation and furniture bought was pretty high, but we sold a lot of furniture too. And it looks like we will be making a tidy profit. As always, I am going to attempt to negotiate and see if it goes through. It doesn't always, but it's worth a shot. This family really wanted a second bathroom and a family room, but there wasn't any way to pull that off. But look at that, $83,821.35. We did it! So this is the end of the video. If you like this video and want to see more like it, please like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you'll be notified when a new video comes out. Please leave your comments and suggestions down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.